Good evening and welcome to BATV News. I'm Javon Keys. The Ministry of Tourism says a report on the review of the controversial Montego Bay welcome sign shows that the costs are in line with market rates. The review was undertaken by quantity surveying firms Davidson and Hanna at the instruction of Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett. The Tourism Ministry says Davidson and Hanna, which was recommended by the Master Builders Association of Jamaica to undertake the review, looked at the rates in the bill of quantities submitted by the ministry and compare them to the market rates. They reported that most of the rates were found to be in order, with 2 exceptions. They pointed out that in their opinion, the estimates for the wall cladding is low and the estimate for lettering and signage was insufficient for execution of the work. In addition, Davidson and Hanna were able to confirm the accuracy of the quantities with respect to the overall estimate of construction costs generated by the TPDCO. The review team said it was evident that the sum was insufficient for the execution of the works. The review was headed by a chartered quantity surveyor who is a member of the Jamaica Institution of Quantity Surveyors and the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Meanwhile, the Tourism Ministry honored scores of industry players over the weekend. The first Golden Tourism Day Awards was held in Montego Bay on Sunday, recognizing individuals who have served 50 or more years in Jamaica's tourism industry. Jamaica Maitland reports.
They've dedicated most of their lives to building the Jamaican tourism industry. That is why the Ministry of Tourism decided to honor them at an event called Golden Tourism Day Awards, celebrating the workers who have spent 50 years or more working in the industry.
We don't grow without the work that these people have done. We stand today, getting 4.4 million visitors to come to Jamaica, earning $3 billion US. It's on the backs of the works of these people over the last 60-odd years. And so it is that's part of the reason why we've created Golden Tourism Day.
Awardee Myrtle Dwyer recalls the tourism industry some 50 years ago.
The times were tough. It was tough, one, being in the industry, working long hours, and 2, being a woman. It was a man's industry. And so you had to contend with the men, and you had to contend with foreigners. And but you know what? It made me to be built of sterner stuff, and today my shoulders are broad and I'm standing on the backs of a few others who came before me, but I'd love to have taught many who have gone on to be excellent women of industry.
And Wordsworth Watson has been working in the tourism industry for some 65 years. He says the industry has been his main source of income, which has helped him school his children.
First thing, that's what made me to be what I am today. And secondly, it helped me to school my daughter overseas, give her one of the first-class education in Canada at York University. And now she's doing a very good business in Canada. I'm feeling very proud, and again, to know that at my age, they still want me to be in the system.
For BATV News, I'm Jamaica Maitland.
After Jamaica's first shipment of medicinal marijuana a couple months ago, many entrepreneurs are eyeing the local cannabis industry, so much so that the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce hosted a regulated market forum for new and emerging markets like the marijuana industry in Kingston this morning. More in this report.
Alex Spellman, Vice President of Business Development at Swiss company SICPA, says unregulated markets cost governments billions of dollars in losses each year. He points out that industries like fuel and newer markets like medicinal and recreational marijuana have severe leakages of up to $100 billion.
It's estimated that in the fuel market, for example, it costs around $133 billion a year to industry and governments from fuel diversion and adulterated fuels globally. In tobacco, the estimates are that the governments would receive somewhere in excess of $30 billion in additional tax receipts, were the international evasion in cigarette and tobacco products to be effectively tamped down. So these are significant amounts of money that fund, public safety, public health priorities for many, many governments, and so, are very important, vital parts of the overall architecture of government.
Mr. Spellman, whose company is the world leader for security inks such as currencies and other sensitive documents, explains that newer markets often go unregulated, which creates health and safety issues.
All those types of issues that we see in other industries are going to come to the fore, right? The ability to ensure that product is moving through the regulated, licensed, recognized operators, that product is being appropriately tested at different points to ensure that it's safe for consumption. It's not going to be, with various pesticides or herbicides or other types of microbials and other things that could get people sick. To make sure that it isn't associated with other types of illegal activities.
And now, Mr. Spellman notes that as the government positions itself to benefit from the marijuana industry, there will be even more compliance issues from farmers and buyers who want a slice of the marijuana cake.
Certainly, with the emergence of a legal medical ganja industry, there's obviously been a long-term historical impact to the country of ganja farming, culturally, economically, public safety, public health, et cetera. But that's also a reality and a fact that has pervaded the overall economy, right? The activity of the non-regulated products does still find its way into legal market activities across the board.
He says oftentimes people avoid regulation because compliance measures are arguably too costly.
You look at, why do people avoid regulations? Cost is always a consideration, right? And cost is not always just how much tax is being assessed, but it's the fees, it's the imposition of the inspections, it's the systems that I may have to interact with in order to give the government the information it wants. And the ability to mitigate that burden to a degree that's reasonable tends to have a very positive effect on the compliance.
For BATV News, I'm Jamaica Maitland.
Howard Mitchell was re-elected today to serve a second term as president of the private sector organization of Jamaica PSOJ. Returning to join Mitchell on the executive are Vice Presidents Dennis Cohen and Frank James. Meanwhile, CEO of Continental Baking Company Gary Hendrickson has retired from the PSOJ executive and has been replaced by Group CEO at JMMB and Epoch co-chair Keith Duncan. And when we come back, Jamaica Produces launches its Heritage Project. This and more after the break. Welcome back. Jamaica Produces, through its brand St. Mary's, will be launching what it calls its Heritage Project come January. This will provide bananas to public schools at a rate 80% below market value. Here's more. The school feeding program costs the government some $5 billion annually, but many needy students are still left out. That is why Jamaica Produces, through its brand St. Mary, in celebration of its 90th anniversary, has decided to give a helping hand. Come January, the company will begin its $50 million Heritage Project, which, according to CEO Jeffrey Hall, will see them selling bananas at $5 per pound to public schools, some 80% less than market value.
That commitment, in honor of our 90th anniversary, is to make 1 million pounds of bananas in our 90th year, and we will carry it forward if it works. 1 million pounds of green bananas grown right here on this farm at the rock bottom price, all-time low of $5 Jamaican per pound to every public school in Jamaica.
Mr. Hall says to meet the demands of this project, they will have to produce 5% more bananas.
We at JP, we produce about 14 million pounds of bananas every year on this farm. And we know that we have the soil, the land, we have the sunshine, to produce 7% more bananas and to make this happen.
As the project is implemented, there are 5 main goals.
The Heritage Project must not introduce any stigma in how meals are provided every day. Whether the student is on path, the program or not, we don't want any child in this country to feel shame when they need something healthy to eat. Secondly, the Heritage Project, Minister Tufton, as you have said, must create an opportunity to teach lifelong healthy eating skills and habits. The plan is to make green bananas form part of a delicious and healthy meals. We're working with chefs and food technologists to help kids develop a taste for fresh, nutritious food.
About 20 schools have already signed up for the project. Interested schools should reach out to Jamaica Producers. The growing resort town of Falmouth has received a new flavor for the palates of its citizens as fast food chain KFC has opened its 36th outlet in Jamaica. The new restaurant was opened over the weekend. Here's more.
Falmouth, we reach.
And with that said, residents of Falmouth and its environs no longer have to travel to Montego Bay to enjoy the offerings of the fried chicken franchise. Managing Director of Restaurants of Jamaica, the local franchise holder for KFC, Mark Myers, said they're pleased to have a location in Trelawney. He noted that they chose the parish for a new restaurant because of the prospects for growth.
We chose Falmouth to be the home of our newest location because Falmouth is primed for growth. With a budding BPO sector, hospitality and community tourism industries, a thriving small business community, and investment in construction across the length and breadth of Trelawney.
This new restaurant brings the number of persons employed to the group to over 2,000, and Mr. Myers said there's more expansion to come.
As we approach the start of 2019, Restaurants of Jamaica plans to continue its expansion. We're not slowing down. In fact, we're just revving up. 3 more stores, 3 more restaurants will be open in the next few months.
In the meantime, Minister of Commerce Audley Shaw applauded the Restaurants of Jamaica for the move. He added that this is in line with the further projected growth for the parish.
It also seems by all indications that the growth has only just begun, with the Hamden Wharf also slated to be open next year, bringing an influx of port and logistics services and enabling greater connectivity and commerce this side of the island. The National Housing Trust has also earmarked 3 housing projects for Trelawney over the next 5 years. This will undoubtedly mean more commercial activity for the parish as these homeowners go in search of amenities.
For BATV News, I'm Javon Keys. In the meantime, Minister Shaw says with the U.S. approving the industrial production of hemp last week, Jamaica's agricultural sector could benefit significantly from the decision.
The United States government just last week has now approved the industrial production of hemp, which is the low in the toxicity level, the THC level, but high in the medicinal level, which is the CBD level. And they have approved that in the United States. That means now that from the point of view of the banking problems that we've been facing, we can now be targeting hemp as an industrial crop in Jamaica as well.
Government Senator Matthew Samudra is assuring that there will be no unfair advantages for manufacturers and distributors under the impending January 1, 2019 single-use plastic ban. Senator Samudra was speaking at a consumer talk on the ban hosted by the National Consumers League in association with the National Environmental Planning Agency NEPA at the Bureau of Standards recently. He said under the Trade Act, plastic bags 24 by 24 inches, plastic drinking straws and imported styrofoam will not be allowed for manufacture, distribution and importation by any Jamaican company. Mr. Samudra pointed out that breaches of the plastic ban could result in fines of up to $2 million or imprisonment for a maximum of 2 years, as outlined in Section 11 and 13 of the Trade Act. He noted that no tax incentives or concessions will be administered by the government under the plastic ban. And stay with us, regional and international news comes up next. Welcome back. Time now for regional and international news. Officials of Lake Asphalt in Trinidad and Tobago were asked to account for existing open-ended contracts, some dating as far back as 2008. This as members of the board appeared before a joint select committee of Parliament. More from TTT News' Janine Brown.
At Monday's JSC meeting, Member Wade Mark raised the concern of apparent unscrupulous issuing of contracts in state-owned Lake Asphalt of Trinidad and Tobago 1978 Limited, referencing one contract in particular with Specialist Asphalt Transport Company Limited.
And there is no end date. There is no end date, Mr. Chairman. There is a starting date, Mr. Chairman, but there is no end date. So maybe that is why you are not aware, because this thing is forever.
Chairman of Lake Asphalt, Christopher John Williams, said it is an existing problem which the board is actively addressing.
This board, when we came in, we met a number of existing contracts that didn't seem to have an end date. As a matter of fact, there were contracts that we couldn't even find a start date. So we have mandated that every single contract has to go back out for tender. For example, the mining of the lake. I mean, when we asked, okay, let's see a copy of it, we couldn't even find a copy of the contract. So all these things are going out for tender.
The JSC also expressed concern that the company is not making the kind of profits it can yield as a monopoly supplier of asphalt. According to the Lake Asphalt chairman, the company's Liberty plant produces 36,000 tons of asphalt per year, when the optimum capacity is 50,000 tons. Upping production, he said, will require a combination of updated technology and a more skilled human resource.
Because right now, our process is steam-driven, right? We have no sophisticated control systems. Our new plant, however, will require such systems. So you're talking about a new breed of people, of employees.
The company committed to sit with its bargaining unit as there will be brand new job positions. Janine Brown, TTT News.
Cruise tourism stakeholders in Antigua and Barbuda are excited about the prospects for this winter season. ABS News' Jessica Russell has more.
Managing Director of the Antigua Peer Group, Saeed Green, says this cruise season promises to be an exciting one.
Last year we were just a little over 700,000 passengers, and this year we expected to go over 800,000 passengers. So in terms of our scheduled arrivals, and that seems to be holding, we are very excited.
He says the peer group has been working to ensure tourists have a memorable experience. 15 customer service representatives are being trained to begin working in January in Heritage and Redcliffe Keys.
They can walk up to any of our customer service / dispatchers and ask them any question about where they can have an experience. So if they want to go to a local restaurant, they will be told where that is located. If they want to go to the beach, we're able to give them that. If they want to know, well, what is the price to get to a certain place in Antigua, they can have that.
Green says the peer group is also working to maintain Antigua's reputation as one of the safest destinations in the Caribbean. Jessica Russell, ABS News.
The populist coalition government in Italy says it has agreed on a new draft budget for the European Union's approval. Rome says its new offer will lower the deficit and is designed to appease Brussels, which has threatened multi-billion-dollar fines. But the government says it will keep all of its proposed social programs intact. Here's more.
After marathon talks over the weekend, Italy's coalition government says it's come up with a new budget proposal. And it's confident it'll get the green light from Brussels.
We didn't turn our back on the Italian people. We work in the interest of Italians, and we consider it a very good proposal in the interest of Europe.
The proposal features a spending plan that would result in a deficit of 2.04% of GDP. That's higher than this year's deficit of 1.8%. But it's less than the 2.4% deficit the EU rejected in October. The European Commission says it's still in talks with Rome, but it's declined to say whether it wants more tweaks. Italy's ruling coalition wants to hike spending to pay for a basic income. It also wants to lower the retirement age. At $2.7 trillion, Italy's debt stands at 130% of domestic output. In the Eurozone, only Greece owes more money. But given France's recent decision to hike its own deficit, League Party chief and Deputy PM Matteo Salvini expects Brussels to be more lenient.
I have no doubt Brussels will apply the same common sense that we have applied, because if I realize there is prejudice against Italy and the Italians while they ignore others, then our tune will change.
Italy has until the end of the year to reach a deal with the European Union. And Rome's hoping its latest proposal is an offer Brussels won't refuse. Paolo Montesilio, TRT World.
High streets across the UK saw a small boost over the weekend, with the number of shoppers up 0.8% when compared to the same day in 2017. But this marginal rise hasn't been enough to allay concerns about the dismal Christmas shopping season. Here's more.
For 8 years, Bradley Gumbel has been watching the ups and downs of trade on Bedford's High Street. He's never seen a bleaker run up to Christmas.
There's loads of people around, but they don't seem to be spending much money, you know.
And this is worse than previous years?
Worst on record for us.
And yesterday's Storm Deirdre blew things even further off track. Retailers rely on this weekend. Traditionally, it's the busiest in the build-up to Christmas. But with yesterday's terrible weather, footfall was down 9% on last year, a hammer blow for a high street which is already struggling. Empty shops, the symptom of years of decline.
What we're seeing this December is large decreases in footfall, much larger than last year. The month as a whole last year was about 3.5% down. We're forecasting over 4% down this year, and it may even be more than that if this next week doesn't really drive footfall into stores.
Are we going to see more closures, do you think?
We will see some insolvencies. That's highly likely next year.
So a lot rides on the next 8 days.
I'm not a shopaholic or anything, but I just love the feeling of going to the shops. Yeah, very worried, and I'm not the only one. Lots of people are.
I've finished my online, so now I'm done now. I've finished as of today.
So high street just for little bits, is it?
Just for little bits. I don't get big things. There's more variety online.
When you do compare stuff on the high street over the internet, it's generally a lot cheaper.
In a bid to compete, stores are having to cut prices already. Discounting this early might boost takings in the short term, but is no guarantee of getting business back on track. Martin Stew, ITV News, Bedford.
And stay with us, Talking Stocks comes up next. Welcome back. Time now for Talking Stocks. 54 stocks traded today, of which 24 advanced, 23 declined, and 7 traded firm. The main JC index declined by 983 points to close at over 371,000 points. The junior index advanced by 43 points to close at over 3,000 points. 9.2 million units traded today, valued at over $245 million on the Jamaican dollar market, while on the US dollar market, more than 21,000 units traded, valued at over $6,000 US dollars. Carreras, with over 2.2 million units trading, accounted for 23% of market volume. Mayberry Jamaican Equities, with over 1 million units trading, was second, and Scotia Group, with more than 952,000 units trading, was third, making up 10% of market volume. The main advances were Lasco Manufacturing, gaining 97 cents to close at $3.44, followed by Pan Jam Investments, up $7.86 to close at $75, and Caribbean Cream, up 60 cents to close at $6. The main decliners were Berger Paints Jamaica, down $3.48 to close at $19.72, followed by Stanley Motor, down 40 cents to close at $4.20, and Sterling Investments, down 31 cents to close at $3.49. And that's the news. But before we go, a recap of our top story. The Ministry of Tourism says a report on the review of the controversial Montego Bay welcome sign shows that the costs are in line with market rates. Thanks for watching. For more content, please visit our website at batvja.com. I'm Javon Keys. Pleasant viewing.